Welcome to Charter Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance on the beautiful central coast of California, and we are joined by Bruce Gibson. He is a member of the Board of Supervisors in San Luis Obispo County, and I want to speak with you about housing, but not homelessness. A lot of folks have been talking about homelessness, and I'm that guy who reads reports from the Legislative Analyst's Office.
Yeah, good.
And they came out with a report at the end of last year which said California homes cost, on average, $440,000, which is 2.5 times greater than the national average.
Yeah.
In SLO County, the numbers are even more
It's
daunting.
worse. Last I looked, median home price in the county was something like $570,000. And the affordability is compounded. The problem is compounded by the fact that relatively salaries are lower here than they are in the Bay Area.
I was going to ask, because are we seeing those type of salary inflations match the housing inflation?
We don't have that kind of economy. You know, we don't have the tech startup kind of economy. We're basically government and tourism and agriculture, and those are not those kinds of paying jobs.
Tourism? No? That doesn't cause a little spike in salaries?
Well, no. You think of all the service jobs that need to be there. So yeah, it doesn't really
Here's another daunting stat from the LAO report. It indicated that California needs close to 250,000 new units a year, and especially on coastal communities like SLO County, and the challenge is we're only building over 100,000 a year.
Right, we're way short, tens of thousands of units short relative to the projected demand. Now, the question I have with that is I understand basic economics, supply and demand, but are we really going to be able to supply our way out of this problem, especially at the coast? Because the demand rises dramatically at the coast for a lot of reasons.
Arguably, in counties like SLO, there is land available. And so could we supply our way out?
I don't think so, but we have to do that and a number of other things to get affordable housing on the ground.
So let's talk about affordable housing, because that obviously, look, it means a lot of things to a lot of different people.
From workforce housing, which would be something on the order of 1.5 to 2 times the median household income, down to very low income housing, which might be 60% of the median household income.
Now, a challenge faced by counties, cities, especially in the state of California, is that there had been a tool that was very effective that allowed for affordable housing dollars to come in to developers, and that was redevelopment.
So one of the redevelopment was one that was never really a big item in this county. Some of the cities did. Could have been, but that is gone. You know, the other tool that often gets talked about is what we call inclusionary housing. So we would take a housing developer and charge a certain fee per unit that they create that would go to build affordable housing. Or we might say, if you're going to build 100 homes, that 20% of them need to be at an affordable level.
And would that be a mandate from the county, from the city?
Correct. It's a mandate from the county. Sometimes cities put it in. And
do we have that now, sir?
We do. Developers hate it, not surprisingly, because it cuts into their profit margin, and I totally understand what their
So what is the percentage as we speak?
Well, it's supposed to be 20%. Now, the county back in 2008 put in an inclusionary housing ordinance that would require 20% of homes in developments over 4 units be affordable. The recession was just around the corner, and so we worked with the home development community and building industry and said, look, we'll phase this in. We'll do 5% the first year, or 4% the first year, and 4% more each year thereafter. Well, when the recession hit, this item came to the board, and the board decided, no, we can't up the inclusionary housing amount. We're going to keep it at year 1 levels.
Which is?
Which is at 4%, and there's an equivalent in lieu fee. So if you're going to build 100 homes, you need to do 4% of them as affordable, or pay a certain amount of money.
So we're not at 20%?
No, we're not close to 20%. And again, the development community would like to see this go away.
Which, like you said, is understandable.
Sure.
But the chasm between 4% and 20% is significant.
It's huge. And my personal view is we should have been easing this up according to the phase-in plan. I don't think that it is make or break on the profitability of houses, but others have different opinions.
So can you work with the board, your 4 colleagues, to maybe up it to 5% or 10%.
I've tried, and that's just the board has not unsuccessful to do that. Now, that said, I will be the first to admit that inclusionary housing is not in and of itself the solution to the affordability problem. Supply is not by itself. Inclusionary housing is not by itself. There are some things we can do in rental housing, which is an emerging issue in this county, that I think are also things. My point here is I think we need to do a number of different things.
Well, let's talk about rentals.
Sure.
Because rentals, that is an option.
Long-term rentals have always been the affordable option.
Right.
You can't own, maybe you can rent.
But the challenge becomes rentals, at least long-term wise, are becoming less popular with the proliferation of the Airbnbs.
Right.
And especially in a tourist town like San Luis Obispo and surrounding cities.
Surrounding cities, again, especially at the coast. You know, in particular, take the community of Cayucas, 3,000 folks.
Beautiful area out north.
It's a wonderful small beachside community, permanent population 3,000. Of the housing units in Cayucas, something like 38% of them are not primary residences. So they don't have voters registered there. They don't have people living there full time. In that community, we have something like 250 or 275 short-term rentals or vacation rentals.
Permissible?
Permitted, and some number who probably are operating without a license because it's so easy to go through Airbnb. I've been in this county for over 25 years, and I have seen the long-term rental market in Cayucas go to next to nothing. And I'm convinced that there's a reasonable housing policy question about how we regulate short-term rentals to try to encourage a long-term rental market as well.
So how can we do that? Look, Airbnb is powerful,
yes,
both as a marketing engine as well as a lobbying force.
They have gained a lot of traction. There's legislation in Sacramento. One of the things is Airbnb is collecting, facilitating these rentals.
Right.
Are the counties getting their transient occupancy tax?
Are they?
Well, Airbnb will do that, but they won't tell us where that transient occupancy tax is coming from by unit. Now you'd think, well, what's the deal with that? Well, the deal with that is to be sure that you're getting it from licensed, permitted, legal short-term vacation rentals. And again, it's a housing policy issue and an equity issue with those who have gone through the process to get proper permits. And so there's a discussion on. There's a fight.
What about mobile homes?
Mobile home parks have been the great affordable housing option for a very long time. The challenge there is the model that somebody's going to own the land and rent space, and somebody else is going to have to buy the coach to put on that land. The interests of the mobile home owner, manufactured home owner, and the landowner sometimes diverge.
Because?
Well, we went through a time 10 years ago when we were talking about landowners seeing more profit in other kinds of development, trying to close mobile home parks. Now, the problem is that the folks who own these mobile homes don't necessarily have a place to go relocate them.
Right.
And so we, in this county, we have rent control on mobile home parks. That stresses the landowner, but it protects the tenant. And so I think we need to rethink the question of manufactured homes.
Well, what about setting aside more land for mobile homes? I mean, this county has land.
We're working. We have land, but you need resources, infrastructure,
right? Water,
yes. road infrastructure. The other things that make a community. I don't have the answer to this, but I know that again, among the many things that there are to work on, seeing what we can do with manufactured homes, which can be installed in a fairly good density and are affordable by design, we have some options.
His name is Bruce Gibson. He is a member of the Board of Supervisors in San Luis Obispo County. My name is Brad Pomerance on the Central Coast. This is Charter Local Edition. It seems like mobile homes would be